Welcome back to Detroit Piston Me Off Day on the show. We talk about the Detroit Pistons' first preseason game versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Expectations cannot be too high after one preseason game, but you have to like how the Pistons came out and played after the first couple minutes after they started off the dreadful start, being down about 20 points right off the bat. Pistons started Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Tim Hardaway Jr., Simone Fontecchio, and Jalen Duren in the starting lineup. Tobias Harris sat out the game due to an illness, undisclosed illness. My assumption would be this lineup minus Tim Hardaway. So you figure Tobias Harris will take his spot when he returns. Of course, there's the Asar Thompson factor as well. Asar Thompson still waiting to be cleared by the NBA due to the blood clot. The lone bright spot in the early going was Jaden Ivey. Absolutely sensational tonight in this performance. 22 points. He was 7 of 9 from the line, missing his first two, but then hitting his next 7. He was knocking down corner threes, and his most impressive thing was his aggressiveness and his speed as he's able to get to the cup and take advantage of the Milwaukee defense. Jaden Ivey also showed excellent aggression on the defensive end. Like I've said before, his ball handling improves, his finishing inside, his three-point shooting, and his defense. We've got one heck of a player in Jaden Ivey, of course. Time will tell if all of those things are corrected, but a great start. He looks a little bit stronger than he did last year, just from a general observation. The Pistons struggled until the rookie Ron Holland entered the game and showed some spark on the defensive end. Not only did he show some great spark on the defensive end, but he also played within the offense much better than we saw in Summer League. He wasn't forcing up shots. He was making the quick early passes. If he continues to play like this, it's going to be hard to keep Ron Holland out of the rotation. He even gave Damian Lillard fits a couple times after Damian Lillard started the game by knocking down about 3 or 4 trays right off the bat. He was unstoppable. But Ron Holland was able to put a little bit of pressure on him. Ron Holland was able to slow him down just a tad when he entered the ballgame. All eyes this year are on Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey as he'll be entering a contract extension season. For Jalen Duren, he's got to show his defensive capabilities are improving. I thought he did that tonight, rebounding the ball nicely as always, but also throwing some nice passes and getting 2 blocks, I do believe, as well. Very nice show. A little bit better on the defensive end, I believe, from Jalen Duren tonight. He looks like a force inside. If he takes that next step, he will be the man in the middle for the Detroit Pistons for years to come, folks. Cade Cunningham wasn't particularly impressive. Had a couple bad turnovers. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well. I believe he was 5 for 13 from the field. Still having a little bit of trouble scoring around the rim, something that he'll have to improve on if he's going to make that next step into all-star contention. Tim Hardaway Jr. struggled tonight. Just the first preseason game, but people are already starting about him potentially being the next Joe Harris. I wasn't happy about that trade. They picked up a couple second-round picks and also dealt out a defensive 3-and-D player. We'll see how that trade pans out. Of course, I'm not giving up on Tim Hardaway just of yet. But I didn't like the deal, and I didn't like his performance tonight. He was the worst in terms of plus-minus for the Pistons in this one. His play will have to improve if he wants to stay in the rotation. The Pistons started the game pretty much with a 8-man rotation. If you add Asar and Tobias into that mix, that's a 10-man rotation. There's quite a possibility of the Pistons only going with a 9-man rotation. So will Ron Holland be the man left out if everyone is healthy? If Ron Holland continues to play like he did tonight, though, that'll be an unfavorable and unlikely outcome. Nice play off the bench tonight from Isaiah Stewart as well. Newly acquired Malik Beasley looked absolutely sensational off the bench. He is a dead-eye shooter and actually played very well in the defensive end, showing a lot of hustle. If he plays with that type of intensity against his former team for the whole season, he's going to be quite the pickup for the Detroit Pistons. Second half was for the bench players, people that probably won't be in the rotation. We saw some real nice things from Wendell Moore. Wendell Moore, is that his name? Wendell Moore Jr., I believe. And also Marcus Sasser. Marcus Sasser had like 8 or 9 assists in the short time that he played tonight. Manning the point guard position, that might be a position that he's capable of improving at. If he's going to want to play in this league, he's going to have to be able to be some sort of a point guard in this league and not just an off-guard, undersized shooting guard. Simone Fontecchio was solid but not impressive. He's a very important piece the Pistons will have this season, spacing the floor for Cade Cunningham. But Jaden Ivey and Ron Holland were the 2 guys that really came out tonight. Really impressive. 2 young players trying to make their mark known. Of course, Ron Holland trying to get in the rotation, and Jaden Ivey trying to keep that starting job And he also looks like they're going to stagger him as the backup point guard as well. So he's going to receive those minutes with Cade Cunningham where he's off ball most of the time. And then off the bench, he will be the lead point guard. So things are looking up for the Pistons after game one. Of course, it's game one of the preseason. So I'm tempering my hopes. I'm still looking at a 24-32 win season, somewhere in that range. So I would be happy with 28-32 wins. Down to the 24, I'm starting to feel like, hey, we didn't make a big enough improvement. Of course, only winning 14 games to 24 would still be a 10 game improvement. I just think the talent on this team is enough to win at least 28 games. 24-28 would be somewhat respectable for what they did last season, but still a terrible squad. Would keep us in the mix for Cooper Flag. Of course, if the Pistons outperform, get outside the top 13, I believe, that pick will go to the Timberwolves, who recently acquired that pick in the trade with Cat to New York and Randall and DiVincenzo to Minnesota. Piston fans, it's hard for me not to be optimistic after one game in the preseason, but I am tempering my expectations, folks. But looking forward to seeing Tuesday night what the Pistons can build upon. Hopefully Tobias Harris will play. I'd like to see him get a few minutes in there with the lineup, see what the potential starting lineup will be, and hopefully also Asar Thompson will be back sooner rather than later. Hopefully he'll get some minutes in the preseason before the starting season starts, of course. I still think Asar Thompson could come off the bench to start the season. I don't know if Jalen Duren, Ivey, and Asar Thompson can all be in the starting lineup from the beginning. One of those may have to head to the bench to balance out the spacing issues that we have with the lineup. But if Jaden Ivey continues to shoot the ball well, and Asar Thompson, who has made some adjustments to his shooting with new shooting coach Fred Vinson, we could possibly be in for a surprise season of upside for the Detroit Pistons. So, Piston fans, do me a solid, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to be reminded when my videos go live. And I'll see you next time on Detroit Piston Me Off.